Today is story time. I'm going to tell you about the time I used to run a branding agency in India from Chandigarh, which is a union territory. So the story is not so much about the branding agency itself. It's about how I used to run the agency. Well, it's kind of the same thing, sort of, not really. I remember the early days. I would frequent Mr. Anish Panot's house where he had set up his own home office. Anytime I would have a potential challenge, I didn't know how to deal with a client or had some operational challenge, I would go seek advice from Mr. Anish Panot. He was a very wise person who had retired in a very senior position from the agency world. He had a joke that whenever I would go to his house for advice, he would be in bed. He would say, "I'm working from my executive Rajai," but he knew everything. He knew everything about everything and how marketing and agencies worked and how to deal with clients, relationships, operations. Like, he was my go-to person. I remember in my initial days, I used to struggle with client meetings and feedback and even working with certain vendors. One of the pieces of advice that he had given me on this occasion was, Paul, when you're in a room, in terms of your attitude, your temperament, your approach, you have to be like a heat sink. So when the client's like, "Oh my God, this has happened." So if people are coming in hot into a conversation, basically people are on the edge. He's like, act like the heat sink. He's like, nobody's going to die. Keep your calm and cool and be like, "Okay, all right, that happened." You want to basically take people off the ledge, be calm and cool them down. And no matter what happens, no matter how crazy the reaction is, just act super cool. Be grounded in your own reality and don't let all that chaos affect you. Just stand uber cool, almost like an oak tree. And in the future, if somebody called me up and said, "Oh my God, this has happened," I'd be like, "Okay, so tell me about it." Think of it like this. A little kid has come to you with a tantrum and yelling, and you're unfazed by it. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I put some meat on those bones and explained it well. So yeah. So next time you're in a conversation, you're in a meeting, be the heat sink. Be calm, centered, cool, grounded in your reality, and don't let the environment affect you. That's going to go a long way in building client relationships and any other relationship for that matter. Of course, I am not perfect at it, but I always strive to deliver on that advice. Be the heat sink in your interactions. That is actually one of the most fundamental signs of great leadership. You want to let your clients and your colleagues and your teams and your peers know that they've been heard. Heat sink. Be the heat sink.